What's poppin', y'all? You ever see somebody that does a sucker move and then tries to play the victim? Because that's exactly what Kid Cudi's been doing on this, or at least in this one clip of this tour that he's doing, press tour for his upcoming, or I think it's actually released now, for his memoir. Is he doing book signings? Yo, I would love to get a Cudi signed book. That would be great. A Cudi signed memoir. I need to look that up actually after I film this video. But he talks about, they ask him the question about like, yo, what's the deal with Drake having dissed you? And that was on the song Two Birds, One Stone. Elite Drake track. It was off of More Life. I promise you guys, that track is just like, oh, wow. Amazing, amazing song. But I'm going to play you guys the clip right now and how he details what happened. And then the reply to it at the end.
Make a point. You write about this in the aftermath of your stroke. Drake comes at you on record, which what was that about?
Well, I got at him and Kanye I think like a month prior or a couple weeks prior.
Yeah.
About them having writers.
Yeah.
And I was in this place where I was like really in my head about just like the things I was dealing with at the time, and I was just like seeing stuff online talking about like top 5 rappers, and I was just explaining like, I know these guys think that they're the illest, but they have writers, and I went online and I said like, you can't be top 5 if you have writers, and that applies to Drake, Kanye, whoever.
Yeah.
And that set it off really. So I initiated it, but Drake took offense to it and responded on record in the middle of my stint in rehab. And the world was not happy about it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of backlash he received at that time.
How did you feel about it?
Oh man, I was like, oh, okay. You want to kick me when I'm down? Great. Like, but he wanted to play the game, with me. He wanted me to put him in a song or whatever. And I'm not that type of artist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to the studio angry.
Yeah.
Rapping about some other man and putting him in my art.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we're gonna do here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come to your doorstep and I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see you, and that's a promise.
And you did.
And eventually we did meet up. Kanye set it up, and it was a couple years after that, so I was kind of rehabilitated from rehab, and I was in a much better place.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of talk to him, and me and Drake used to be friends, and I'll talk about it in the book, and it was really nice to reconnect.
First off, let's get this whole like tough guy. Now, I will give him credit for being accountable in that he started he started the whole thing because he felt the need to comment on it, and he says, yeah, I kind of started the whole thing, and he named them by name on Twitter and a public platform. So there was that. And then towards the end, he's like, yo, I think he wanted me to play the game with him. What game? You played the game with him. And they did used to be cool. I think one of the most heartbreaking things is the lack of music that we got from Kid Cudi and Drake. I think they could have had some incredible collaborations over the years, especially like Drake was in the Pursuit of Happiness music video. So just think in that era, right? Like 2009 to 2000 or let's just say 2010 to 2012. Drake, the type of music Drake was putting out, the type of music Cudi was putting out, and imagine we got both of them working together. Like, man, young me, even me currently, just like yearns for that to have happened. An alternate timeline, maybe in the next life. But he talks about it later. He's like, yo, I'm not gonna do that back and forth. I'm gonna see you. It's like, yo, Cudi, you saw Diddy, and you looked directly in the eyes of the freak off, like the count freak off. And what happened? Your car got lit on fire. your dog was terrified, and you did nothing. And you got played by Cassie. So you did absolutely nothing but hop up on that stand and point the finger. And then say that, oh, now you got subpoenaed, and that's why you had to go. Meanwhile, Gina kept it thugging. She didn't show up, so no, you didn't have to show up. And he's like, I'm going to see you. What do you mean you're going to see Drake? And that's another thing. He's like, yo, I didn't want to play the game back and forth. He's like, yo, what do you mean you don't want to play the game? You started the game. Drake didn't do the corny, lame move of talking to you on Twitter. He just threw some bars at you. And I will say Kid Cudi was right in that it was not received well. But you have to look at the time and the place. The time was when this happened was 2016-ish. We were moving into the era of full-on ultra sensitivity. I think one of the most popular tweets that's been circling around is when the NHL tweeted out, I think it was in 2022 or something. I think that was when we hit the peak before things started to switch over. The pendulum started to swing over to the other side, and it's about to get radical. Very radical. And I don't mean radical cool like Otto from Rocket Power. I'm talking radical in the sense that you're going to continue hearing some of the craziest views you've probably ever heard in your life, and it's only going to get worse. But hey, we got to prepare for that. But with Kid Cudi, at the time, you got to think like, oh, mental health, sensitivity, etc. at the time when Drake dropped this track. So Drake did receive a lot of negative pushback for it. He kind of stood on his toes and he just fell back a little bit after that. But now, if the same thing were to happen, I don't think it would be received in the same way. Now, granted, assuming Kendrick Lamar, Drake beef didn't happen, if Drake threw some bars at that, they would have probably laughed it off. But the thing is, he was like, yeah, everyone felt bad about that, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to see you. And this is the thing, I think what hurts my heart is Kid Cudi is talking about, yo, people talking about top 5. I'm like, yo, you can't be top 5 with if you got writers. Listen, Kid Cudi, even if they took off everybody that has writers, you still wouldn't be in people's top 5s, with all due respect. Now, granted, and I say this with zero sarcasm whatsoever, because sometimes people can't tell when I am being sarcastic about something or I'm not. I'm being 100% serious here. In my heart, Kid Cudi is top 5. You are top 5 in my heart, Kid Cudi, and you are, I believe, top 5 in many people's hearts. But if we're talking skill-based, logic-wise, competitiveness, you just don't fall into that. And I think Kid Cudi should just understand that he's top 5 in many people's hearts. And I think that is something that is underrated, because if people attach strong emotions and points of their lives and they actually feel your music, they're like, yo, this guy's like one of the top 5 artists that ever made me feel anything through his music and through his writing, that's something that is to be heralded. And you don't need to compete with people that are technically better, because it's like, who cares about it? It's almost like in certain sports where someone may be technically better, but someone just rallies. Some people are just able to identify with someone more. Like a lot of people, they love Kobe Bryant and they're able to identify with him because of just like the tenacity, and maybe he wasn't optimal in terms of like playing through certain injuries or just the absolute obsession he had with the game and not balancing his life in a certain way. And perhaps maybe like LeBron is better, depending on who you ask. Like, listen, I'm not a basketball head post maybe like 2007. So that's why I don't try to pretend I have any authority in that field. But a lot of people will say Kobe is the GOAT in their heart, even though logically maybe he's not, right? And I think that's Kid Cudi for many, many people. Like, why the hell would I buy Kid Cudi's book, which I am actually buying? They do have signed copies here. I missed the signing. It's like the signings, I think, already happened. Unfortunate. It is what it is. But they do still sell the signed books. So I got to cop one, or I am copying one immediately after this. But he's had just such a strong impact. And then someone quoted this and said, I love Cudi as an artist, but bro's a walking contradiction. Admitted that he went at Ye and Drake on social media unprovoked. Drake responded on a song, but he doesn't do rap beef, so he'll see him in person. Saw him in person and it was calm. This is a fact too. But I do think he was at a different point in his life. But the thing is, if he was at a different point in his life and it was calm, you shouldn't be talking on this interview like, yeah, I said I'm going to see you. It's like, yeah, and you saw him. and you basically took a shot. He basically was like a T-Rail academic situation is what it sounded like. You pulled up on him, you took a shot off of him, you were parched, as academics would say, and you kept it pushing. That's what happened when you saw him. But for Kid Cudi, I think now I think he's grown into his own. He's still the same artist in terms of skill, and he still has that impact. Like, he has a silent fan base that's so strong, similar to how I think like a lot of people like Suicide Boys, that's how they feel about them, a certain subculture, globally speaking, and they feel like their music touches them in a certain way, and they can do gigantic tours and gigantic numbers. And Kid Cudi's the same guy, and he's about to drop an album as well. So I want to check that. I still haven't checked out his animation show. If you guys have seen that on Netflix, was it Intergalactic? I think that's what it was called. Let me know if I should check that out. If it's not great, I personally don't want to check it out. I like to continue having Kid Cudi at such a high, not peak, but at just such a high level of ranking within my own enjoyment of music, and just as a whole in terms of impact on my life. But let me know what y'all thought about this in the comments. I think Drake handled this properly. Like, he fell back when he saw the backlash, but he didn't apologize for it. And I think it was a sucker move by Cut. And this is the thing, like, you can enjoy someone's music, and there is, I said this about Ye too, there is a beauty in the hypocrisy of an artist. Like, for example, a Kodak Black. When you listen to Institution, if you haven't listened to the Institution mixtape, you have to listen to it. And if you have listened to it and haven't revisited it in a long time, you should really check it out again, because you get a Kodak Black that is so different from the Kodak Black that you see, and you hear the reflection, and on top of that, you hear the clear voice by Kodak Black, and you're like, wow, I can hear everything he's saying. I can understand everything he's saying. He's really projecting the pain into the music, and he's writing in a way that's reflective, and he knows what he's doing, and he knows the mistakes he's making, and he doesn't want to continue them. But years after Institution, he continues that stuff. And there's like this beauty in realizing like this person recognizes what they're doing, but it's not just the beauty, it's the humanity in it. Because it's almost impossible to consistently stay with the like same beliefs. And it's also like when you give people advice, sometimes you give advice that you wouldn't take yourself, even though you need that same advice. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get too much into detail. That would be a little bit off topic. But an example would be Kodak Black. An example is a young boy. An example that I have used in the past is Ye. Like, you see Ye go from this struggle. Like, you see Ye go from Jesus Walks to really like coomed out, like gooned out, whatever word that people use nowadays. And then you see him oscillate between like very, very religious, no curses in songs, to just absolute degenerate, naked, freak off, whatever that we just come to find out about, up and down. And each time, like, there is this humanity in it where we're seeing someone struggle in real time with issues that they have through music, and it's being reflected in at that point in their life as well, which I think is just so beautiful, which is why I give Cudi a little bit of a pass for the hypocrisy, especially considering Cudi had a lot of drug issues, and I think he had a lot of self-esteem or self-worth issues. And unlike many people that just have drug issues, he also had ideation of, like getting rid of yourself. And that's something that I don't even know. I can't even wrap my head around imagining what that feels like. So I got to cut him a little bit of bail here, but I think Drake handled that perfectly. The song is fire. I will be bumping Two Birds, One Stone. I already bumped it before I started recording this video. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.